Hello, dear friends. My name is Mirhat Sharibjan, and welcome to Eurasian Express, a YouTube channel dedicated to geopolitics, history, security, and current developments across Eurasia. Today, we will discuss an event that may become one of the most symbolic episodes of Russia's war against Ukraine. In recent days, Russia hit Kyiv's holiest shrine, the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra, with its missiles and drones. When missiles and drones strike military targets during a military conflict, people accept that as part of the brutal logic of war. But when a missile damages one of the most sacred religious and historical sites of an entire nation, the meaning goes far beyond military calculations. That is exactly what happened when Russian attacks damaged buildings within the ancient Kyiv-Pechera Lavra complex, one of the most important religious sites of the Orthodox Christianity. To understand why this matters, we must first understand what the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra is indeed, and what it means for Ukraine, what it means for its citizens, for its history. Founded in 1051, yes, 1051, almost 1000 years ago, the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra is among the oldest Orthodox monasteries in the world. Its origins date back to the era of Kyivan Rus, a medieval state that emerged centuries before the creation of either modern Russia or modern Ukraine. For Ukrainians, the Lavra is not simply a monastery, but a symbol of their historical memory, their historical continuity, their past, present, and future. It represents 1,000 years of spiritual, cultural, and national development. For many centuries, monks lived in caves beneath that monastery, copied manuscripts, wrote chronicles, educated monks and clergy, and helped shape the religious traditions of Eastern Europe. The famous primary chronicle known in Ukraine as Повесть минулых лет and in Russian Повесть временных лет, one of the key historical sources for the history of Kyivan Rus, was written by Nestor the Chronicle, or Nestor Letopisец, right there at the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra place. Today, the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and attracts pilgrims from around the world. For many Ukrainians, the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra occupies a place similar to that of, let's say, the Vatican for Catholics, Canterbury for Anglicans, or even Mecca for Muslims. That is why the attack on the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra is not just a routine daily Russian attack on the Ukrainian capital or other towns and cities in Ukraine. Now let's look at the attack that shocked many in Ukraine from another angle. For many years, Russian President Vladimir Putin has justified his invasion of Ukraine using historical and religious arguments. Many in Ukraine and even Russia didn't agree with those arguments, but he always said, and the Kremlin frequently presents Russia as the defender of Orthodox civilization. Russian officials and church leaders have repeatedly claimed that Moscow is protecting traditional Christian values from what they called hostile outside forces. But now, one of the most important symbols of Orthodox Christianity has been seriously damaged by a Russian attack, by a Russian missile, by Russian drones. And the major question here is, if Russia claims that it is defending orthodoxy, why are Orthodox churches, monasteries, and cathedrals being destroyed in Ukraine? This question has become increasingly important throughout the war, especially because hundreds of religious sites across Ukraine have been damaged or destroyed, since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. The attack on the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra, therefore, appears not as an isolated incident but as a part of a broader, drastic situation caused by Russia's aggression, affecting Ukraine's cultural and spiritual heritage. The Kyiv-Pechera Lavra has survived medieval invasions, multiple wars, occupations, imperial rules, and Soviet persecution. Its churches have witnessed the rise and fall of empires. The monastery survived centuries of turmoil and became a living monument to the resilience of Ukrainians, of Ukrainian culture. Now it has once again become a victim of war. For many Ukrainians, this attack is not merely about damaged walls or shattered windows. It is about an attempt to strike at the symbols themselves of Ukrainian identity. This interpretation is shared by many Ukrainian intellectuals and commentators, including prominent Ukrainian journalist Vitaly Portnikov. Portnikov, in his recent comments following the attack on the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra, stressed that Russia's war is not only about territories, it's not only a battle for territory, it is also a struggle over history, memory, and identity. According to Portnikov, attacks against cultural landmarks serve a political purpose. They send a message that no aspect in Ukrainian historical memory is beyond the reach of war, is beyond the reach of Moscow. The Kyiv-Pechera Lavra occupies a particularly sensitive place in this struggle because it has also become a symbol of Ukraine's efforts to reduce Russian religious influence and Russia's influence in Ukraine in general. For decades, parts of the monastery were associated with the Ukrainian Orthodox Church linked to the Moscow Patriarchate. After Russia illegally annexed Ukraine's Crimea and incited separatist movements in Ukraine's Donetsk and Luhansk regions in 2014, many Ukrainians began questioning those ties. Following the annexation of Crimea by Russia, Ukrainian leadership started working on separating the Ukrainian Orthodox Church from the Moscow Patriarchate. On January 5, 2019, Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I signed the Tomos of Autocephaly, or Independence, and on January 6, 2019, he formally granted independence to the newly established Orthodox Church of Ukraine. This officially recognized a Ukrainian Orthodox Church independent of the Russian Orthodox Church. But this did not automatically separate all Orthodox parishes in Ukraine from Moscow. A substantial body known today as the Ukrainian Orthodox Church continued to exist. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, previously under the Moscow Patriarchate, declared in May that year that it was no longer subordinate to Moscow. After that, the ongoing religious and political dispute over the future of the monastery have intensified even further. Because of that, any attack on the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra inevitably gets additional political significance. But history suggests that attacks on national symbols often produce the opposite effect from what the attackers intend. Instead of weakening a nation's identity, they frequently strengthen it. The destruction of cultural monuments can deepen collective memory and actually reinforce national unity. This has happened many times throughout history. Wars can destroy buildings and walls, but they often fail to destroy the ideas and identities those buildings represent. The Kyiv-Pechera Lavra has endured for nearly 1,000 years. As I said earlier, it survived medieval invasions, it survived Stalin, it survived Nazi occupation. Since the annexation of Ukraine's Crimea in 2014, The Kyiv-Pechera Lavra turned into a symbol of Ukraine's fight against Russia's dominance in general, and especially against the Russian Orthodox Church domination in particular. That is why the attack is a reminder that Russia's war against Ukraine is being fought not only on battlefields but also on the realms of history, culture, religion, and national identity. That means the struggle is about more than territory, and it looks like Ukrainian intellectuals are right. It is about who owns the past, who defines the present, and who shapes the future. And in that struggle, the Kyiv-Pechera Lavra remains one of the most powerful symbols of Ukraine's endurance. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this presentation, please like it, subscribe to Eurasian Express, and share it with your friends. And as always, goodbye, dear friends. До побачення, шановні глядачі. До свидання і до скорих встреч в ефірі.